This podcast is brought to you by our Anime Addicts community. If you want to help the podcast, it'll be a Merry Christmas for everybody because you'll be getting 8 exclusive podcast episodes per month, and we'll be getting your money. So we'll be able to keep existing and buy ourselves Christmas gifts, and it'll be just a merry all around. So if you want to support the show, AAAPodcast.com/join or Patreon. Show us you love us. Reward us for our hard work. And now, time to start the podcast.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at AAAPodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Welcome into the 756th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. The sole mission, you better believe it, it's to make your anime addiction worse. To help me with that, we have, to my right, we discovered in the Hobby Addicts that she smells very funny. It's Pancake.
What's up? I smell like milk.
Ugh. I am funny looking, and Andrew, who's with us, is just funny. Say hi, Andrew.
Hello, I'm just funny, apparently.
Well,
I guess.
sounds like a gold place ribbon to me.
Better than being funny.
So you smell like milk. Huh? Tell me about this.
Wow.
How did this come to be? Do you just like spill milk on yourself? You drink a lot of milk and you spill it on yourself? Is it like old people smell? You know, old people smell.
Yeah, I definitely smell like an old person.
So you smell like milk.
Yeah.
That's very unfortunate. Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to smell Pancake and do so much more, you can head over to our website, AAAPodcast.com. We're live on Twitch and YouTube Sundays at 5 p.m. You can see the smell through the screen.
Just radiates like a cloud off of me.
I mean, I have to sit 2 feet from her, and the smell enters my nose and ingests the expression on my face. You'll be able to see it live. So, if you want to talk about that, you can go to AAADiscord.com. I just renewed the domain. So you can go there and take you directly to our Discord channel. It will be a good time for you because there's about 2,500 people on there that will chat with you about anime and so much more. Today on the podcast, it's entry-level anime for all of you newbies out there that just like, I don't know, or people who want to get the newbies involved. That's right. Yay. And, of course, Spice and Wolf 2024. I can't remember the subtitle, the merchant meets the wolf or whatever.
The merchant smells funny.
No, he doesn't. What, Lawrence Kraft? He smells like B.O. Everybody knows that's not funny. There's nothing funny.
People say, what's that funny smell when he shows up into town?
Kraft Lawrence bathes like once a year. I mean...
If that.
I mean, he is rank, okay? And, yeah, it's not good.
But I think the subtitle you were looking for is Merchant Meets the Wise Wolf.
There you go.
Merchant meets the funny smell.
Spice and Wolf is back because we just remake everything nowadays. All right, well, we got so much to get to. We're going to get to that. We got some news for you. Of course, we're going to be talking about anime that'll help get your newbie friends involved in anime. It's as if people need any help these days. Anime is so popular. Let's get it rolling.
It's time for big news of the week.
This is not super new stuff here, but the people are, I imagine, unhappy about this, and I just kind of wanted to get particularly Andrew's take on it, that Sony seems to just be buying everything these days, and they bought Crunchyroll for sure. They bought, what else did Sony buy? I feel like they bought a few things. They bought some other anime studio thing too. And now they're buying Kadokawa, or they're going to try to buy Kadokawa. It sounds like they probably will. We'll see. But this matters because Kadokawa owns a bunch of stuff that you love. And one of those things is From Software. So people may not know, but in the world of business, pretty much everything is owned by somebody. And there's always someone at the top. And I actually doubt anybody owns Sony. But From Software is majorly owned by Kadokawa. And if Sony buys Kadokawa, that means that Sony will own From Software, who is basically, well, not basically, they are the creator of the Dark Souls series and Elden Ring, which Elden Ring is just like eclipsed everything Dark Souls, everything From Software ever did doesn't matter now. It's just Elden Ring. It seems like it's pretty much all anybody ever discusses.
It's really funny because everyone's like Dark Souls. Guys, wasn't the first game Demon Souls? Why
Yes.
do we always erase Demon Souls from the narrative? Is all I'm saying.
Short memory.
You want justice for the demons? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the demons and their souls.
Oh,
shall
okay.
be I'm gonna ghostwriter this bitch.
Are you a fan of this franchise, Andrew? Do you
Not
play?
at all.
No, not at all.
I do not play. I have never played a Souls-like. I've seen my friends play. I saw funny enough, back in Anime Club, we had a PS3, and so my a person actually we didn't. A person brought their PS3, and somebody just wanted to play Demon Souls, so they brought Demon Souls, and they would play it in the club. My main impression of the games is like Demon Souls, being these really hard like games that they've almost essentially spawned its own semi subgenre of Souls-like. To describe these like ultra hard games, the Ninja Gaidens, some would say, of the action RPG world. So no, I am not big on these games. Though I heard Elden Ring was like very new, to quote today's topic, new player friendly.
It's like it's the hottest, newest thing from that studio. So that's. And then the DLC came out, and that's, that was pretty good too, apparently. I don't know, man. I've played all of this.
Controversial.
I've played all these games. I don't think they're that hard. I mean, if you play them like...
I played, I tried to play Sekiro. Isn't that the same?
Yeah, Sekiro's probably the hardest of these.
Fucking hard, so I gave up. I won't be playing anymore.
I mean... we're not going to talk about how hard Demon Souls is for more than about 10 seconds here, but it's just funny because almost all the bosses can either be glitched or... There's some cheese method where you can just wait till they use a heavy attack and you jump in and hit them twice, But
that's my thing. Is like I want to play a game without having to look up how to cheat. Like I want to play a game for relaxation. I'm not here to be fucking pissed off. All right.
Well, it's funny
because a Souls game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not my genre for sure.
The funny thing about the Elden Ring is that they give you a horse, and so you can just run. The enemies are so slow to respond to your presence that you can pretty much just run past every enemy in the game and go straight to the boss because the enemies, by the time they recognize that you're even there, you're long gone, and you're on a horse, so you're much faster than them to begin with. So I always thought that was kind of funny, but okay. Well, Andrew has no stake in this. I mean, don't really care about this acquisition, to be honest. Yeah, go ahead.
So when you say no stake, I mean, I don't, obviously. I don't have any stocks in Kadokawa or From Software or Sony. So obviously I have no
emotional investment.
But it is getting a little bit crazy, the monopolization of a lot of things these days. There used to be like 50 game companies, or actually way more than that. There used to be like hundreds of game companies, and they're all like now being umbrella-ized.
It's the worst.
Major stakeholders. Yeah.
I feel like it's really taking away the creativity out of games. It's very much copy-paste as it is, and I feel like another acquisition is just going to further that. And I think that's why we see a lot of indie games doing so well, because people are just fucking fed up with being given the same shit over and over again, and these acquisitions definitely make it fucking worse.
Well, so the AAA games are really hurting right now, and a lot of studios are kind of teetering on we're getting off topic, but they're kind of teetering on the brink of like Ubisoft is
one
most
game
likely
away from maybe being shut down.
Yeah, they're one game away from the end. And it's because these AAA games, they cost 300, 400 million to make, and because they're so expensive, they really do take the least risky route, which is just to make more of the same of what they've already done. So Pancake, that's what you're talking about. And then the indie games like Cult of the Lamb, that game was probably like, I don't know, a pittance to make compared to these AAA games, and it was fairly unique and pretty fucking great. I mean, but yeah, I think people are freaked out because they think that if Sony buys effectively Elden Ring, so to speak, that they will change it and fuck it up. I don't know.
I think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
It's happened before. Like, there have been companies like EA will come in and they'll buy up a studio and they'll change everything about the game and ruin it. And it's happened before, and so people are nervous about it. I do think this acquisition will happen. Kadokawa's shares were up 23% the very day that the news came out. And usually these studios, Sony will have to pay them more than their current value to get the acquisition done. And turns out most people that are at the top of these companies, they kind of like being made to be filthy fucking rich. I mean, it's like if I was the CEO of Kadokawa, and Sony came in and said, "Oh, we're gonna buy the studio, and you're gonna make $50 million," I'd be like, "All right, I'm retiring. I'm moving to Fiji, and I'm gonna eat like grapes out of like some exotic from some like sexy ladies are gonna feed me grapes for the rest of my life." Like I think I would sell. Like fucking A. Who wouldn't? So I think a lot of these things get done, and Kadokawa was tiny compared to Sony, so they're not gonna have a problem buying them.
I'll put it this way. You say that's because you're not a overtly greedy person. So yeah, you'd be like, okay, I'll sell. But a lot of these CEOs are sell and then move on to another company so they can do it again and get more money than they can have. Anyway, sorry, I can go on this.
Well, they might. Well, you could.
Going.
You could be right. My point is that they'll sell. So it'll happen.
Oh no, they'll totally sell. They'll make their money, but they're going to move on to another company and do some more. That's like
that's like
they're not going to retire with their winnings.
It's like flipping houses nowadays. I feel like they just do it with companies here and there, and it's just like every fucking. I don't know if it's the same way in Canada, but people will buy a house, flip it, and sell it for more than it's worth. I feel like the same thing is happening with companies. Is somebody will come in. They'll get it to a place to sell. They'll sell it to somebody, and then they'll go to a different company and do the same. Well,
and the other reason why this will happen is because companies have a fiduciary obligation to their investors, and the investors, and fiduciary for people listening means that it's in their, but they are responsible for looking out for the investors' financial best interest. And so the investors will say, yes, I would like this stock to go up 40% because of this, because they make a fuck ton of money. So when they say, no, we're not going to sell, all the investors get fucking pissed and they go ape shit because they could have made a ton of money like instantly. So yeah, they're going to buy it. It's just a matter of whether or not they will fuck up From Software, basically.
Isn't it funny? Because that goes back to like, and I wish it was a new concept, but this goes back to like the early 1900s with like Ford, right? Because I think he wanted to reinvest in his company, and like two of the investors were like, no, your duty is to give us the profits, basically. And then it went to court, and that became basically law of the land. As what I remember hearing this passively like a couple of years ago. It's wild. But I guess to bring it back to Sony, Sony now owns Funimation, and we saw what happened with
That's
Funimation.
what it was. Thank you.
Not only did Crunchyroll not get better overall, like they did not take anything from Funimation to make their service better, it's still the same, and then they took away things on top of that. Maybe I'm just Canadian and that they just like to take things away from Canadians. But so it's just like, it's not like where you think, okay, back in the day, an acquisition meant, okay, we're buying this company and we're going to take something from that company to make this other part of our company better. And like, there's like some intermingling. Nowadays, it's not even that. So it's not like I can say, okay, they're buying From Software. At best, they'll just leave it, do as it is to make them more money, because Elden Ring is going to make them a lot of money from Software.
Yeah.
And at worst, they'll basically destroy the company, like, what happened with Blizzard after Activision acquired it. Essentially.
Yeah,
even though it still makes a ton of money. So.
I feel like, to your point, it's just to get competition out of the market. in some ways, like it can go get the competition out of the market, like the acquisition of like Funimation, or it could be a, money grab, try to make money off of the properties there and fail, or maybe they'll do something good. There's like a 2% chance they'll do something good.
Somebody, Captain Avatar on the Twitch said that, asked me if I bought Bitcoin back when I told everybody that listened to this podcast to buy it like 7 years ago. No, I had a bunch of Ethereum and I sold it at some point along the way. But yeah, if you had listened to me, listener, you would be rich right now.
Oh,
just want to let you know.
I had the chance to mine Bitcoin before anyone even knew what Bitcoin. Like I was on a website and people were like, "Oh, do this thing," and the process was like, "Oh, this looks really annoying. Fudge it."
I guess you didn't do it because you'd be living in a castle somewhere.
Yeah, basics. I mean, I would have sold in the first boom where it was only 10,000.
You'd still be rich as hell.
Oh yeah, but anyway, long story short is crypto is weird.
Yeah, it's weird. We don't need to talk about that, but that is true. In other words, just listen to Mitz. I won't steer you wrong. Pancake, what do you think about this news that I put on the document for you?
Thank you for picking my news because I didn't feel like looking for news. January 10th will be a great day for Dragon Ball fans. Crunchyroll has announced the highly anticipated English dub release date for Dragon Ball Daima.
No way!
Yes.
So they're going to make Goku look even... This Stephanie Nadoli, who no one knows, but she has voiced pretty much all of Gohan for the most part.
I'm not hyped for this. I think it'll make it easier to get through now that we won't have to read it.
Well,
but Daima sucks.
Yeah, I mean Dragon Ball Daima. We've talked about this before, but it's just.
I'm gonna keep saying it.
Have you seen this, Andrew?
Daima, no. I knew it was either not passing or I was gonna have to watch it later. So when we were doing our watch for the season, I just said, "You guys, I don't need to watch this. If I have to watch this, I'll watch it later. I'm not invested." So I've seen nothing of Daima.
Well, we don't.
I'm super disappointed. I think it is definitely even below GT in my book.
Yeah, I mean it's.
No.
Yeah, I actually would agree. We were laying in bed watching because. We don't need to go deep into this. We already did, but
we have to review it anyway, so I don't want to
I mean, but they've taken Goku and they just reduced him to the dumbest possible form of himself. I mean, he basically just exists to scream about eating dinner and ooh, look at the pretty lights. He can't even speak in full sentences anymore. I mean, it's absolutely embarrassing.
He seems.
He was dumb before.
He was dumb. His IQ is probably a cool 70, right?
Now.
No, in general.
That is high.
I would say Goku probably had an IQ of 80 before. He was dumb, but he wasn't a moron. Now I'd say his IQ is about 8. 8.0 is what I would say. I wanted more of a Dragon Ball Kid Goku than whatever the fuck this is. Yeah, I was kind of hoping they'd go back to
exactly. It's great. We're going to have the dub, so all of us out there that are going to suffer through Daima, at least we don't have to look at the screen the whole time.
The Twitch is not hyped either, so.
I'm with you, Twitch. Love you all.
But Stephanie Nadoli played Goku in Dragon Ball and GT, Gohan in Dragon Ball Z, and Gohan in pretty much all the movies that Gohan was in. He's not in all of them, but he's in a bunch of them. So you'll at least have Gohan's youthful voice in there, so that'll be good. It'll sound like it probably should, but unless they change the writing so that he doesn't sound like such a dipshit. But
it could be that we're watching the sub and it's making it worse.
But you only get one lip flap, and it's he only has one fucking lip flap for his line because all he does is go. Bah, pudding or some dumb shit like that. So it's how are you going to fix that? They can't expand it and say into a full sentence that doesn't sound ridiculous because she's going to be talking and his lips won't move. So I mean, they're not going to be able to do that much with it. Anyway, I think that's a very big exaggeration by CBR or whoever put this out. I don't think people are going to be that excited. I think In fact, you know what? Hold on a second. Dragon Ball Daima had a pretty good score on Mal.
It did?
Yeah.
Do you think that's just nostalgia points?
It
Well,
might
I don't
be
know.
from just the first episodes.
Yeah, it could be. I'm gonna pull it
You
up
guys were
here.
pretty hyped on the first episode from what I
Yeah,
remember.
the first couple episodes were fine. It just
The first two,
devolves into idiocracy.
It's still at a 7.9. I mean, Dragon Ball fans, I guess, are blind to it. They're just gonna suck its dick no matter how good or bad it is.
I
But
hope not. It's underage.
point taken. Andrew, what do you got?
Okay, so the collabs of all collabs is happening next year.
Say it isn't so.
We are getting a new Gundam movie. Moe agare, moe agare,
Yeah, let's keep going. Just enjoy it.
moe agare, Gundam. I was too early. Moe agare, moe agare, moe agare, Gundam.
Hashire! Oh, keep singing it. Fucking song's a bop. 80, the 80s is the fucking best, honestly, I swear.
Oh, I fucking love the
It's
original
so
Gundam
fucking
opening.
great. Yeah.
It's
That's
so
actually 70s.
good.
It's got to be 70s, actually.
true.
Late 70s, probably.
Well, 79, right? 0079, so yeah. Well, it started mid 79 and ends in 80. Anyway.
Anyway.
Sorry. So Studio Kara, helmed by, or at least previously founded by Hideaki Anno, creator of Evangelion, is co-producing a Gundam series with Sunrise called Kido Senshi, or Mobile Suit Gundam GQX.
Sounds sexy.
It's got like 6 U's in it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like a weird gun. Honestly, for Gundam, it is a pretty weird name. Let's be honest. I don't know why they put so many U's.
That's like somebody fell asleep on their keyboard and just like a cat walked on the keyboard, and that's what they came up with.
Yeah. So Studio Kara, known for the Evangelion movies, essentially, as their main like animation product, and Studio Sunrise, who is known to do a ton of mecha anime for like decades, like almost half a century now. Actually, probably a half a century now. Almost. Actually, yes, definitely a half a century. Gundam's in its 45th. So basically, to celebrate the Gundam's 45th anniversary, this is our anniversary show for Gundam. Gundam seems to be in this thing where basically on the anniversaries they're going to get a new show, and then between it they'll probably release OVAs and things of that nature. They're no longer just releasing shows as it goes along. So for this anniversary year, we're getting 45th. So 50 is going to be a big one, so we're probably going to get a lot of UC stuff. But we're getting a Gundam show. There's not a lot has been revealed yet. There has been like a promotional video. It's coming out I think soon, like winter 2025 maybe. I don't remember. I don't think they have an actual release date. Oh yeah, no, it's coming out January 17th. My bad.
That's soon. Holy
That's
shit.
so
We're gonna be
fast.
picking that in the winter selections here pretty soon.
Maybe. I think that's when the movie comes out. I don't know if the show's actually coming out, but that's like an edited movie, like they kind of did with the Witch from Mercury, where they did a movie release first of the first couple of episodes before they released the show regularly. So we're getting that in January, so that's going to be kind of interesting. And then what it seems to be, from what I saw of the trailer, it seems to take place in a colony, and the Gundam is in like mobile suit battles, but more for sport, like gladiator arena style. So I don't know how that's going to evolve into a larger story. And yes, and it essentially, what I found interesting is that it has very non-traditional Gundam. Well, first of all, the Gundam doesn't look very traditionally Gundam, but it's not out of the way. But the character designs themselves feel very non-traditionally Gundam as well. But they're also really cool character designs. It feels very. Oh my god! There was this like cat robot anime from a few years ago that it really looks like.
From a few years ago.
Yeah. It
All I
has
can think
that
of-
kind of.
All I can think of is
Style.
Nuku Nuku for cat robots.
No. I watched it, so it's definitely not that. Um, let me see if I can. No, but yeah. So this is also a studio that. So where my worries are, this is also a studio that was behind Darling and the Fran XX.
The Fran XX.
But so long story short is I'm excited for this because it's new Gundam. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I'm curious to see how they expand the larger story, or if this is really just gonna be like a more small scale story. But it feels like it has to evolve into like a more, maybe not earth shattering, but like a more higher political intrigue thing. Otherwise, what are you doing with a Gundam show, right? Like there has to be some politics involved. Otherwise,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Unless it's like a super personal story, but those are usually saved for the OVAs. So yeah, I'm actually excited for this. It looks really interesting. The mobile suit design is different enough. I don't think I love it, the suit design, but it does look like it's going to be well animated. It looks like the suit designs are going to be kind of creative and different and sort of like slightly reimagined versions of suits that we already know. Like I think they had a Zaku in there that looked a little bit different than your normal Zaku. So in the PV trailer. So I'm actually pretty excited about the show. I'm glad we're getting. I didn't think we were getting anything for the anniversary because we're this late in, and so nothing was really announced for the 45th anniversary other than that Netflix Gundam show, which I haven't finished yet, but it's okay. I've like
it's so. I get kind of nervous because there's so much staff in here that that hasn't worked on mecha stuff. Like the director is fully coolly. You know, series composition is Utana. Like there might be some experienced people in here, but they just don't seem like they've have a large breadth of work on mecha shows exclusively. But what I'm worried about with Gundam more than anything is I feel like Gundam's really been pivoting into trying to go after a younger demographic lately, and I get worried that they're going to dilute what Gundam was for a long time and ultimately destroy the IP. So I get kind of worried.
So it's interesting because I as not a Gundam historian, but I've been with Gundam for a while. So like every time they try to go for a new audience, it sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't. So Gundam Wing is them going after the female audience, and that Gundam Wing is a quintessential Gundam show, for and all of us millennials who grew up with any kind of mecha. And then they have a show that they actually tried going after like a more video game audience, and that was Gundam Age, and that show was not the best.
No, not really. That's kind of being nice to it.
The first part is the strongest part, and that's unfortunate. And then I feel like with this one, I think I don't know where they're going with it. I don't feel like they're going for a much younger audience. And I don't think you bring in the Evangelion people or Studio Kara if you're aiming for a much younger audience. And so sometimes you get, I think with these, when you bring in people who aren't well versed in the medium, you sometimes get some really interesting ideas to inject new life into it. It can also go terribly bad, but I'm actually curious to see because Studio Kara is not your typical mecha producer, so I'm curious to see what they can bring to Gundam while working within the constraints of Gundam. Because if it doesn't feel like a Gundam show, then what's the point?
I kind of wish it would come out next season because I'm looking at the winter season here and it's looking pretty rough.
I'm so excited.
What are you excited for on here?
There's going to be some shoujo coming out.
Oh, come on. Solo leveling, that'll be good.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, they're never going to quit making that shit. I know Mason hates it, but that game sold 50 million copies. It's going you're going nowhere. It's that fucking thing. I mean, we won't be watching it because it'll be on season 60, but we're not going to watch that.
I mean, actually, look, Sakamoto Days, I heard that was pretty interesting, so I'm actually kind of curious about that one. But anyway,
aren't we getting My Happy Marriage?
God, yes, we are.
Fuck yeah!
Why?
Bring that blue dress back, baby!
Why do you want My Happy Marriage?
To make you watch it with me.
Caroline will pick the fucking Medicine Seller season 2.
Oh, I didn't like that
What the hell
one.
was that shit called? God, it was boring. I'm the only person on planet Earth that didn't like it.
I just didn't like the main character.
What? The Apothecary Diaries. There we go.
Yeah.
That thing was boring. It was so boring, but everybody except me loved it. Yeah, this is rough.
Oh, yeah. To be fair, winter is usually a rough season.
Keep scrolling.
Keep scrolling.
But
Anyway,
Shouldn't
it's
we be
pancakes.
moving
Like,
on?
yeah, we should. Yeah, do you have anything else you want to say about Gundam?
Sorry, I'm just
Oh,
excited.
I feel like I said a lot about Gundam, so
That's fine.
I think it's going to be a good watch for the podcast. I'm obviously picking it for my impression when that season's coming out for sure.
Well, I'm relying on you to do so. I just wish it was next season because there's so much just middling crap coming out, and I would love to have a Gundam show in the mix. But all right, well, we're going to talk about our main topic here. We're going to do another somewhat similar topic to this later because we discovered on our Anime Court that like literally none of our listeners have seen anything prior to the year 2000. I know there's some people on Twitch that are going to be like, "What are you fucking talking about, bro?" Like, I'm 50. I've seen all the old shit, but like in general, people just haven't seen anything like that's really old, and it makes me sad because I really think that the 90s stuff is so good. Especially the 90s was such a fucking great period for anime, especially the late 90s, but so we're going to do that. But today, we're going to talk about entry-level anime. And I can't remember who it was that put this on the docket, but yeah, we're going to talk about anime that are good for beginners to get them involved in anime, are easy to get to consume, to enjoy. And we're going to be coming at it from a number of different angles because you've got, we can talk about stuff that's coming out currently. You can go back through all time, et cetera, but largely I think that it is what it sounds like. It's going to be anime that's for people that are kind of new. So where do you guys want to start with this? Because I think that my approach is just going to be different than yours because I'm just going to look through my anime list.
I think we all had a different approach. I picked stuff that you can get on Amazon because Amazon, I feel, is the #1 streaming site. And most people have access to it.
You think Amazon's bigger than Netflix?
I mean, not Amazon, Netflix. So all mine are from Netflix. I apologize. I misspoke. Just because most people have Netflix or access to Netflix, so those shows are easily accessible and low threshold for entry.
Okay, well, why don't you get started with that then?
So.
I'll just say, we go through our methodology and then we probably should start, right?
Yep.
Because
I would say so.
I would say so. What I did for this one is I said, well, the year is 2024. Let's just get something from this year, from each season to point people in different directions of anime. And then I said, let's grab bag it after the fact. And I said, here's a Gundam, a movie, and for the whole family. And then for fun, I chose one from the year I was born. But spoiler alert, maybe not. And then so my whole process was, let's pick something from this year. And then see how the conversation evolves, because I feel like a lot of people tend to want to watch the new thing first and then backtrack to the old thing. It's harder to always get people hooked on the old thing first. So I figured let's start there, and then I could say, you like this? Then go watch these.
I have confirmed that Netflix is the biggest by quite a lot, actually. Netflix has 283 million subscribers. That is absolutely insane. That's fucking crazy. That's a lot.
And somehow it's still not profitable?
And Amazon's down at 200 million, which is nothing to sneeze at, but it's not nearly as big. For me, my approach to this topic is kind of weird because I think that entry-level anime is anything that's in your target taste and demographics. If you put somebody in front of the most perfect anime, easy to short, simple, easy to watch, I don't know, whatever your criteria is for stuff that's entry level. If it's like a show meant for little girls, I'm not gonna fucking want to watch it because I'm an old ass man. So if you're gonna get your old ass man friend to watch anime, you're gonna have to pick a show that's meant for old ass men. Simple as that. If you're not gonna do that, then you're just trying to fit a round peg into a square hole or whatever. Like, it's just not gonna work. So I'll be talking about it from just the perspective, that kind of perspective, honestly, because I honestly don't think I could really expect anybody to want to watch a show that's just not geared towards them. With that said, though, we'll start with Pancake since she jumped on it really fast. She jumped on the grenade right away.
All right, so
what is on Netflix that's so great?
Well, that are, easy for people to start.
Mm-hmm.
I put down Naruto. I feel like that's a pretty easy crowd pleaser. I feel like shonen's an easy genre for a lot of people to get into.
Are you
male,
sure you're not just a
female.
Narutard?
I am a Narutard. There's no fucking doubt about that.
Oh, you admitted it.
It's not just that though, because that first arc is
That first
actually
arc is
really
good.
strong.
Yeah, it's super strong. And then the tuning exams, everybody likes tuning exams across anime. So I feel that it's a great starter anime. It's easy to access because it's on Netflix. Next, I have Death Note. I will continue to say Death Note is an easy anime to get into because even my old ass dad that hates everything likes Death Note.
He loves babies.
Babies, dogs, and Death Note.
And Mr. Beast.
And Mr. Beast.
Of course, now you may hate Didn't Mr. Beast get in trouble for something?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't talked to them
Your
in a
dad's
hot
probably
minute.
like, "Fuck
I haven't talked
Mr.
to my
Beast."
dad in like 6 months. So, anyway, Death Note, I feel like it's a shorter anime. It's like, I think a total of, is it 25 episodes? It might be a little bit longer. But it's
Yeah, I
not a
think
very
it's
long
24 to
anime.
37.
It's a little bit more mature. It's easy to jump in. It's got fun characters. Demon Slayer, I wanted to throw another shonen type in. It's a little bit longer, however, it's more current and there's a huge fan base, so somebody just getting into anime would have people to talk about it with because it is newer. Cyberpunk, I feel like this was a short.
It's so depressing, though.
Yeah, but a lot of people that I would be recommending anime to, I feel like would like it. And Cyberpunk and dystopian is kind of in right now. And that's just 12
Actually,
episodes.
So Cyberpunk, I think, actually is a really strong suggestion because it does have. I feel like it's anime that is approached from a Western appeal.
Yep.
So people who are very, but it has a lot of very anime parts to it, right? Like Rebecca, I think is her name, is a very anime character in a lot of ways. So I think it comes with it from a Western approach, which a lot of people are like, ugh, I don't want to watch anime because we have Japanese. I think it actually does. Like my DM doesn't like anime or cartoons in general or animated things, and I think he ended up enjoying watching Cyberpunk 2099. Is that what it was? Is that the name of the show? Or Edge Runners? Sorry, that's the name of the show.
Yeah.
It's so funny, though, because anime is not that... It's made by Japanese people, but it's not like...
I feel that
it's not super Japanese in a lot of cases.
I feel that it can be, and I feel like Cyberpunk Edge Runner is definitely a very low entry anime. It's on Netflix. It's short. It's got a lot of themes that Western audiences like. Then I have Delicious in Dungeon up here on my list. I feel like that's just like an easy...
It's a good pick.
An easy one. A lot of people like it. It's newer. And then, of course...
I recommended Delicious in Dungeon to a coworker of mine this past week when I was in Denver. And we were like, oh, what's on Netflix? And he, we're like... So Cyberpunk got recommended, and he ultimately said he was going to watch that first, but I think that the Delicious in Dungeon is probably going to appeal to a wider variety of people than most of these, because it's just so fun and easy, and everybody loves a non-serious like comedy. Whereas, the Cyberpunk, you kind of have to be willing to like. Didn't that kid's mother die in the first episode? Like
it's a pretty heavy show,
like
but I think it scratches that itch a lot of people have. And then Delicious in Dungeon, like you said, is just an easy watch, low stakes, just fun. Throwing Cowboy Bebop on there just because it's on Netflix. It's a short watch. It's fun. And then I'm going to throw Ranma 1/2. It's on Netflix as well. That's just a super easy show to watch. Got fun characters, fun setting, just a good time.
Becoming overly stupid, though, as it progresses.
Well, it's just another one of those shows. It's easy to watch. It's similar to Inuyasha in that kind of way.
You think Rumiko Takahashi has ever done a show that wasn't just like 2-episode arcs of some random villain?
Probably not.
No.
Because Inuyasha is Rumiko Takahashi, and that show is basically just, here's a new monster with a jewel shard to fight for you to fight for 2 episodes, and then Ranma 1/2 is just, here's a new quote unquote monster, aka someone who will fall in love with either Akane or Ramna, and they're gonna show up for 2 episodes, and then they're gonna move on from them. So it's just like, I don't know. No wonder her shows are so damn long. She just comes up with like 50 villains, and then that's it.
I mean,
It's pretty funny.
there's a reason why Inuyasha was the first show she ever finished, or the first manga she ever finished.
I think that's considering how much older Ramna is. That's an incredible fact.
Yeah, that's crazy. Another couple I'm just going to throw out there that aren't necessarily anime. Castlevania, people love the Castlevania series. I feel
That
like
show's
that's a
good as fuck.
super easy watch. Even anime fans, even non-anime fans like it. And then Blood of Zeus is pretty good. That's
Oh, yeah.
also on Netflix.
We never watched season 2 of that.
Yeah, there was just too much space between season 1 and season 2 for our liking, but that's a pretty good show, easy to watch. And then we have a couple out here, Seven Deadly Sins, and then Hunter x Hunter. I don't know if... I think
so
Seven Deadly
long.
Sins is on Netflix. I'm not sure that Hunter x Hunter is on Netflix right now, but at one point it was, and that's a pretty fun shonen.
I don't know if I would go with Seven Deadly Sins. I've watched the first couple of episodes, and I don't think it's an easy entry anime because there's a lot of gropey things that happen
Yeah.
in those first couple of episodes that I feel would turn a lot, like play into it's the race.
Oh, this
the
is
quote-unquote
anime.
R-wordy Japanese. Like they're groping everybody and they're disgusting. So I would only recommend Seven Deadly Sins because it feels very SAE in the first couple of episodes at points. From what I remember, and this was like a bunch of years ago when I watched it, the first season, and I was like, oh, okay. So I wouldn't recommend that, but and it's not in the fun way, like where 1,000 Years of Pain, kind of fun, kind of thing to do. So yeah, but I mean I would agree with most of the other suggestions, though I haven't seen Blood of Zeus and. But Castlevania, I would agree, as far as like non-anime
so
that
good.
ape from anime,
Yeah.
at least that first season is a good. Like if you like Castlevania, then you basically like the aesthetics of anime.
Yeah.
Well, and Blood of Zeus has got a similar animation look style to it. So I think if you like Castlevania, you'd probably like Blood of Zeus. And if you like Greek mythology, that's just fun.
Plus, what is a man but a miserable pile of secrets?
What is that from?
It's from
Blood
Castlevania.
of Zeus.
Oh,
Oh.
duh. Okay.
Yeah, it's what it might not, they may not be word for word, but it's pretty close. That's what Dracula says to Alucard in Symphony of the Night, I think, at the end. Yeah. Or maybe it's
I haven't seen the second
Belmont. I
season.
can't remember which fucking game it is. Yeah, Castlevania, I love that show because
You were playing all the Castlevania games, though, for a while.
Well, okay, but like the Castlevania show is whichever Belmont that is. He's just a great fucking character. I mean, he's very witty and sharp with his like humor. Like he'll get punched in the face and make a funny joke about it. But the girl in that show too, I can't remember her name either. It's been too long. I mean, she's pretty awesome too, and you get to have like your strong lady character because she's whooping some fucking ass. She would probably kill Belmont if she wanted to in that show because she's such a powerful like ice mage or whatever. And the animation in that show is unfucking real. I mean, the fight scenes with Dracula are stupendous. I mean, it is utterly ridiculous, some of the fight scenes in that show. So you're getting the action. You got unbelievable animation. You got great characters. So I don't know, just just like sucking its dick really hard.
Yeah,
here, but,
you are. It's like,
Castlevania
are you
is so
okay?
good.
Do you need to come up for
No,
air?
I do. Thank you. My jaw's hurting. Okay,
You can use your hand for a bit.
I will do
Mitz,
that.
do you
now.
have a couple you want to throw out there?
No, I want to hear about yours. Nobody wants to hear about me. I'm just
Yeah,
bald.
those are your Netflix
I'm
ones.
funny looking. Remember?
And I'm
Yeah. All right. I'll give a couple, and then
Yeah.
you can give a couple, and then I will round out a couple more. How does that sound?
That
I
sounds
love it.
super sexy.
Wow.
Oh, thank you. All right, so we'll do it, and I'll break it up into this way. I went to my anime list, and I looked at winter 24, spring 2024, summer 2024, and fall 2024, and I decided to pick an anime from each of those seasons that would be a good show to throw somebody into anime. Obviously, like Mitsu said, I'm not gonna give a super sugary show to someone who's looking for super super blood and gory stuff, right? I'm not going to do that, but I am going to. A lot of these shows are general recommendations, and usually I can tell you if you like this, you'll probably like something else. So for winter 2024, I picked Solo Leveling. I watched it. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite show of that season, but I think it is a good entry level show to sort of like the isekai genre for people. It's not exactly an isekai in a lot of ways, but it does pull a lot of isekai elements. It also has that level up system that a lot of anime have been going with in the last little bit of while. So it feels very entry level, generic, good way to say, well, a lot of anime have this like level up system that's more video gamey these days, and the animation is pretty decent and then pretty good at parts. So I think you would get a lot of view from that. So that's why I picked that for the winter. For spring, I chose Kaiju number 8. It feels like a pretty good mix of Western and Eastern influences with the show, and it's pretty action oriented, and so it's like shonen action oriented, but a little bit more grounded. Kaijus, who doesn't like a Godzilla type monster?
Yeah, I think
deal.
We proved that with the Pacific Rim, which was a pretty big hit. I mean, I think people just love
love that movie.
People just love big monsters. Godzilla's been kind of making a comeback lately. I mean, it's been in the theaters several times in the last few years. I think that's and its pacing is good. That's for me. That's a big thing with these selections. Like, you don't want to bore people. Like, if you can't expect people to sit through a bunch of nothing.
Oh, and it has all of the character tropes you find. A lot of the character tropes you find in anime as well. So it should be a good pick. For summer 2024, I didn't pick anything.
Nothing.
I think
it sucks that bad.
I don't think summer 2024 was that strong, to be honest. From what I can see, I mean, there was a lot of second seasons. That's the problem, and I was trying to pick different things. So like, there's Oshinoko season 2 in summer, but I'm not going to recommend season 2s of shows because they have to watch season 1, right? And Oshinoko is not a show I would recommend to a new person to watch right away.
No, definitely not.
I think you do need to have.
That's
some
a little too
anime.
Like, that's something that's like very in the genre of like, I want an anime anime. You go watch Oshinoko.
Yeah, it's very intermediate level. Like, I want something that's anime, but it's not like I need to like have this whole history. It's not super deep. It's not whatever. So and these are all a lot of the shows I've either watched or seen parts of. There's like fun shows like, what is it? Wistoria and Sword it's like a fun little okay show. I wouldn't recommend it to new people. It's also very anime in a lot of ways, even though it's doing with the thing. And then a lot of the other stuff felt very not like, I'm not gonna say Nokotan either, right? Like, I didn't see that. So, but a lot of it felt very either Solo Leveling gets through it or whatnot. So I didn't pick anything from summer, because it wasn't that it was that bad. It's just that it was not that great of a season. I'm gonna be honest. And then for fall, from this season, I picked Ao no Hako, or Blue Box, because I think, and I think I wrote it here in my notes. I think it's a fun mix of romance and sports, and I think it's with pretty good animation, and it has a reminiscence to a lot of like, not older shows, but older shows than this, right? So like Kimi no Todoke, Chiayafaru, Toradora, it hits those levels of shows pretty well. From the few episodes I watched for the impression, it gives me that thing that I think a new person could watch it, and I think it's not. It feels relatable enough, not too anime-y, and it feels just the right level of, okay, if you want to get into like a romance type anime, this feels like fairly representative of a lot of other romance type animes. And I know that if you enjoyed this, there's at least a dozen shows I could recommend to you after that as well. So a lot of these shows I picked from these seasons are, if you enjoyed this, I could recommend to you at least at minimum 5 shows. I mean, I'd have to look through my list a little bit for sure, but I could recommend at least 5 other shows if you enjoyed any of these for sure. And so that was and this is from this year. So a lot of these are on a streaming service. Most of them are on Crunchyroll, if anything, right?
Yeah, most everything's on Crunchyroll or Netflix.
So most of these are on a streaming service. And I think how Crunchyroll works is you can still watch them. for free-ish with a free account with ads or something, maybe, I don't know, because it's of the current year, and they're still available to watch without like a super premium tier if you needed to as well. So I think that's why I picked those for my entry level animes. So when I look at entry level anime, I really look at it like it's like your starter job, right? Like it's the job you get. You're not going to be here for that long because you're planning to move up or move up somewhere else. So I just needed to get my foot in the door, and now my foot's in the door. What do I do? So so these also are a lot of shows that are pretty, like, when I say generic, I don't mean that in a bad way, but these are very generic representatives of somewhat of their genres that they're in, and they're decent ones at that. So if I know you didn't like particular aspects of Solo Leveling, well, there's these other types of shows that you might like. Did you not like this particular part of Kaiju number 8? Well, okay, so these are the kinds of shows you might like instead. And obviously I'm missing a whole bunch of genres, but I did get some of that stuff for you afterwards in my next section. So, to break up my conversational nature, Mitz, what did you have?
I mean, like I said, I think that this selection depends on what kind of person you're talking to. But I think there are certain things with anime that make it easier for people to watch and get into. And the first of those is I don't want a recommendation I make to be overly anime. I don't want it to be too
Agreed.
Difficult of a leap.
Not too many panty shots and boob grabs and oops, I fell into your breasts.
Yeah, and I don't want to have like heterochromia everywhere. I don't want people to have fucking star eyes like they did in Oshinoko. Like the average person, your average coworker in the office is going to pick that up and be like, what the fuck am I watching? And it's going to be jarring. Like having someone's eyes have giant stars in them is jarring for me. And I feel like I've seen as much, if not more, weird shit than just about anybody in anime as far as designs go. So, and you don't want them to be overly silly.
Yeah, it's definitely a very aesthetic choice to have in a show. Whereas, like, even in Western shows, it's kind of hard to get somebody into, like, a period piece or something like that because it is so stylized and there's a certain aesthetic to go along with it. Oshino, oh my god, I can't.
Oshinoko.
Yeah, I'm not going to fucking try to say that again.
She didn't say Chiorzo again.
I don't know what's wrong with me right now. I lost my thought.
That's okay. So, and that goes for character designs as well as the content of the anime. I mean, there are a lot of shows out there that are just a little too off the wall for people to really just jump into right away. I wouldn't be recommending like Azumanga Daioh to somebody. Like it's just too off the wall. It's too bizarre for people to really enjoy immediately. I think that there are other shows like I wouldn't be showing people overly aggressive content. Like I wouldn't pick Perfect Blue out of a hat and send it to somebody. I wouldn't be picking Now and Then.
I would.
Well, they're going to be like, oh, I don't like watching girls get raped on stage. Sorry, graped. Can't say anything because the world's so, like, can't, whatever. It's too late. But there are a lot of shows out there that I think are good, and I think you have to have a very easy to understand narrative that's also very strong. So people that are used to watching stuff like Western live action content are going to need... It'd be better if you were to give them a show that is essentially a live action show that is just done in an animation form. So here's a great example. Planet Test is a great example of this. Because Planet Test is essentially about people out in space picking up garbage. It's not a particularly hard show to understand the concept of. And they have a very great opening scene where like a screw or whatever hits a space shuttle and it kills everybody. And like you can understand that like in the future, just like with our oceans, if humans are traversing space, we're likely to be filling it with a bunch of crap also. And we all know that the risks of asteroids and all this other stuff that exist in outer space. So that's an easy concept to understand. And plus, people really enjoy outer space in general. I personally have been super like into outer space lately. I've been watching all these YouTube videos about what would happen if like Jupiter collided with the Earth or all this other crazy shit, or what is a black hole? Yeah, they're fucking great. So outer space is so interesting and so big. So I don't think that really is hard for people to get behind. But there's other shows too, and this one's also related to outer space. I don't know, this just kind of happened by coincidence. but it has a down-to-earth, easy to understand story. And that would be a show that I've talked about a lot, and that's Space Brothers. Brothers.
I'm like, Space Brothers. It has to be Space Brothers. You're saying next.
I mean, it's a show about a guy that just wants to be an astronaut. Like, who hasn't wanted to be an astronaut at some point in their life? Like, everybody thought about it one time, and it has an extremely sharp and very well-paced narrative that isn't going to leave people bored. You don't want your newbie to be bored. You don't want them to be like, "What the fuck am I watching?" You know. And Space Brothers is extremely normal looking. It's set in our real world with real world rules. It's got a very tight and very dramatic narrative that's super interesting. I mean, I showed you a few episodes of it, Pancake, and it's
fun.
It's
I
a
like
great
it.
anime. I know people that have watched anime that didn't even know it was fucking anime, and they've watched Vinland Saga, and they were like,
Vinland Saga
like,
is a strong one.
They were like, I watched a show, and it was like, I don't even know what I was watching, but it had Vikings in it, and it was animated, and I was like, oh, that's probably Vinland Saga. And they were like, oh, yeah, that is what it was called. And they didn't even know it was fucking anime. But guess what? Vinland Saga, again, grounded in what could easily just be a real-world TV show. Lots of action and great pacing. There's a lot of drama, like Thor's self-sacrifices, like episode 4 or something. Like, the show is just, anybody can friggin' watch Vinland Saga. If you can handle the violence, that eventually comes, anybody's going to be able to watch that. Anybody's going to be able to watch Space Brothers and enjoy it because it's just a well-told story. And I think that's really what's important because everybody, no matter who you are, wants the well-told story. So, Vinland Saga is so freaking good. I can't wait to see where that shit goes. I mean, it reinvents itself in season 2 and is arguably even better. I mean, the writing is so insane. Oh my god. I'm just going through my list here. I mean, obviously, like, there's lots of movies that people can watch. Like, the Ghibli movies are quite honestly, like, timeless. They're timeless for a reason. If you're into sports, there's a lot of good sports. All the sports anime are pretty much grounded. Like, you can just about watch any of them. I recommended Redline to a guy not long ago, and he thought it was fucking awesome.
Redline is awesome.
It's a little, like, out there. I mean, not everybody will like Redline probably because it's like, oh, I don't like the music, or I don't like racing, or I think that the aliens are weird to look at. Like, I get that. I probably wouldn't really put that on this list, but yeah.
I think it's one of those things that if you are like if you're into like video games even, or passively even into anime, I think Redline's one of those. Well, you want to watch an anime, but you're like really into video games. I would say, yeah, watch Redline. I think you'll really like that movie.
And lastly, and this goes with my first point, I wouldn't necessarily show somebody that's something that's overly stylized. Not just the designs of like their hair or whatever, but I'm looking at Ping Pong, the animation here. Ping Pong, the animation, is a great anime.
Yes.
It's nobody who watches it is going to say Ping Pong is a bad anime, but it looks a little weird compared to other shows. So I wouldn't pick that one out of a hat either to show it to people. I wouldn't pick Gonkutsuo out of a hat and show that to anybody. I mean, it's just the way that it's drawn is just a little the fabric still images or whatever they refer to that as in that show is just a little too much, a little too weird. Or like, you're not going to show someone Flowers of Evil. Like, that show is just way too fucking rotoscoped. So I don't know. I'm kind of copping out by not giving a lot of examples, but
no, you've given a few good examples. No worries. Don't worry. I'll bring us home with mine, and you won't feel as bad after what I say next. So
that's how it usually happens.
I'll put it this way. Okay, so I'm the guru of Gundam of the podcast, self-proclaimed. Yes. I guess I said that in a wrong order. So I'm gonna recommend a couple of Gundam shows, and so there's Gundam Wing and 08th MS Team, which all came out in the 90s. These are the 08th MS Team's an OVA. It's a good introduction to Gundam. It's grounded, it's realistic, at least for the first part, and it's really fun, and it's some really good character development. Gundam Wing, it was my first Gundam, so I'm just gonna always have a bias for it, and I'm like, if you like robots, if you like melodrama, if you like, I'm currently rewatching it with BCom, friend of the podcast. I guess I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Sure.
So we've been rewatching it. I've been rewatching it, and he's been watching it. We've been watching it for the last 3 years. Every time I go to New York to visit him, we watch a couple of episodes.
It's not that long. What is it? 50 episodes?
Yeah, well, when you're only watching like maybe we're halfway
I
through.
guess
now.
that's true. I guess if you don't go that often.
I only go once a year to New York. Maybe in March because of a concert, but we'll see. Anyway, but another good entry points into Gundam I found was Gundam 00 and Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. These are really they are not the normal Gundam shows, but they are very Gundam at the same time. And I feel like they're more like, so Gundam 00 has a more political spin to it from the get-go with some fantastical nature. What if like a terrorist group came in and basically forced the world to unite in some weird way? And that makes for an interesting Gundam story. And then Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans follows a bunch of basically slaves who rise up to go beyond their slavery, and that's always just like an inspiring story as well. And these are and they're sort of done by the same team, and these are, I think, really like interesting entry points into Gundam while still being very Gundam as it goes along. But these are the kinds of shows where like the action is pretty on point, or they bring some central plot point that makes you kind of want to continue the show. And if you enjoy these, then you can also buy into some of the ridiculousness that is other Gundam shows as well. As for movie recommendations, I just put two here. I biasly chose Princess Mononoke because that's my favorite Ghibli movie.
Based.
That's a strong one. I think a lot of people like Princess Mononoke, even if they don't like anime.
Nausicaa. For me. For me.
Yeah, fair. But I also feel like it's the more adult of the Ghibli movies, and I think that's where you can recommend it to somebody. I would never recommend My Neighbor Totoro to somebody. Just for them to watch as an adult. I would never recommend My Neighbor Totoro to an adult to watch as a entry level anime.
Ashitaka is very good at decapitating people with arrows. I don't know. Or like taking your limbs off. He
Fucking
is
G.
exceptionally good with a blade that's probably only like an inch wide. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so my last one, because I said I chose one from the year I was born, but I lied. I couldn't find one because I hadn't seen any of those.
I found one from my year. You could recommend Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh my god, you were born in '96.
Yeah.
Like everything on friggin' Earth came out in '96.
I cannot recommend that one in good conscience, unfortunately, for reasons I think we all are aware of. Maybe.
Oh yeah, he's fucking creep. Still a good story though.
So I said one for the family, the whole family. I said Pokemon, and this one's actually easy to get because I think they're taking them off of Netflix, but they're putting them on YouTube on the official Pokemon channels. Like they're putting up the old episodes. I think you can even watch a lot of the current ones. And I think Pokemon's still a fun story. Like I may not watch it, but I do like watching the odd things that show up on my TikTok every now and then. I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun. That looked like a fun battle. I don't want to watch the whole thing, but I think, if you have a kid, show them some Pokemon. I think it might be pretty cool.
Another good one for the whole family would be like Kiki's Delivery Service or Totoro. Like I know you said you couldn't recommend it to an adult person, but for the family, I think Totoro's great, and so is Kiki.
Yeah.
How about Sonic Boom? What do you think about that?
I don't think it's anime.
It's not anime.
It's not. How about Chi Sweet Home?
That's to set your 4-year-old in front of the TV
What
to
do you
learn
think
Japanese.
fucking Pokemon is? It's for 4-year-olds.
No, there's more.
No,
stuff
there's
happening.
more stuff happening.
Oh, come now, my lady.
Chi Sweet Home is very.
It's a Coco Melon of. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
No, 'cause it's
you
not.
take
It's
that
not
back.
nearly as stimulating.
I do.
It's very slow, very learning based. I feel like, as opposed to Pokemon.
Yeah.
Okay, if you say so. I didn't know you were such a Chi Sweet Home aficionado. Do you
Cute cat. Why not?
do you have all the books?
Oh, every single one of
You
them.
don't have any of the books. You don't know shit. Get out of here with that crap. Just kidding. Not really. Anyway, what else you got?
Oh, this is. I just want to round it out with. These are just a few suggestions. Obviously, suggestions are always better off tailored to, like Mitz has said. It's always better off tailored to who you're talking to. Some of these shows I mentioned, I wouldn't recommend to some friends. I would definitely recommend them to others. And I usually try to gauge what kind of TV shows they watch, what kind of movies they watch, what kind of cartoons they watch. before, or music they listen to sometimes in some cases, before I would suggest these shows to people. But I feel like this is also a topic that, like you said, this is Redux 2024.
Redux,
well, guess what?
baby.
We'll be revisiting this topic. We should be at least in 2025 again. I think this is a topic we should revisit every year, and sometimes our lists may change. Sometimes it'll just be an excuse to have like a playlist of anime for beginners 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027. The podcast is going on forever, baby.
You know what's funny is I was thinking like anime is so cool now and everybody's watching it. Like if you're in high school and you watch My Hero Academia, you're probably totally normal. I'm trying to think about what was normal for people that were like 15 or whatever when I was in high school. I'm trying to think. It sure as fuck wasn't like Dragon Ball Z. You would just get the shit kicked out of you. So I'm just trying to think like what was it?
Oh, it wasn't? It was Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, well, back then everybody was fucking watching it, but they were doing it in secret because you'd get swirled in the toilet or some crap. I'm just trying to think what people actually watched that was like, the cool thing that like the popular kids talk to, who I never was a part of.
I think MTV was big when you were in high school.
MTV.
Yeah.
That's so sad. You know what? I do remember that there were boys in my high school class that had like pictures of I'm trying to think of like famous actresses and shit inside their lockers.
Pamela
and stuff.
Anderson?
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, like that kind. Yeah.
When I was in high school, the cool thing was American Horror Story.
What? Oh my God, you're so young.
Yeah, she's so much younger than we are. Yeah, don't worry about her. Don't worry. Don't let her make you feel old.
I still love you guys a long time.
I deal with it every day.
Wow, I was not expecting that trigger.
Sorry.
When Cowboy Bebop came out, Pancake was 3.
Really?
Something like that, yeah.
No, wait,
Yep.
wasn't Cowboy Bebop 97?
Oh, I was 1.
I don't know, something like that. She was 1. Fine. So how does that make you feel?
At least I was around.
I can live with that.
Read the trivia questions so I can go lick my wounds.
Me or Pancake? Me? Me. Oh, it's in red. It's me.
It's you.
Okay. In Spice and Wolf, Hollow is a female wolf harvest deity originally from a place in the north known as what?
Waifu Land. All right, we'll be back with the answer to that. Also, our mailbags and a review of Spice and Wolf, so don't go anywhere or Pancake will dry up and cry. Hey, Anime Addicts, it's me, Tsugi, and it's time for your anime news break. Getting us started, we have One Piece smashing its own records all over the place. So, Eiichiro Oda's One Piece manga extended its own record in several areas. First of all, the volume 108 was the highest selling manga volume in 2024, with 1.55 million copies sold. It released on March 4th. This was the second consecutive year that One Piece had the highest selling manga of the year title. Back in 2023, volume 105 sold 1.91 million copies. This was the 14th time that One Piece held the title of best-selling volume for the year, which is, of course, a record that it's been extending on its own for quite a while now. So, volume 108 will be released in North America on April 24th, 2025. We'll see if that one is the highest-selling manga of the year as well. Next up, light novel Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi 2025 rankings are revealed. This is, generally speaking, an annual light novel ranking for what is considered to be the most popular / the top 10, whatever, for 2025. The top 3 of the year for light novels is sometimes Ayla communicates her feelings in Russian, so we're going to be reviewing that one on the podcast today. Also, the anime, the property Dare ga Yushao Koroshita ka and Make Heroine ga Osugiru. So if you're a fan of these light novels, check them out. Usually they tend to be made into anime if they haven't already. Of course, Ayla already has been, but those are going to be good for you if you like to read light novels. Next up, the Spy Family fans have some disappointing news. It looks like there is a delay in the next installment of Tatsuya Endo's comedy manga. It's not going to be coming out until next month, so this is a delay of approximately 1 month. Shonen Jump Plus announced on its account on Twitter that the scheduled hiatus is happening now. This is according to the platform staff, so it looks like the release date has been delayed until December 23rd for Chapter 108 of Spy Family. So if you are a fan of Spy Family, not canceled, just delayed, so don't freak out too much, but it'll be coming out just before Christmas. And lastly, High School DxD is revealing its first new manga spin-off in over 10 years. So the official anime account of High School DxD is going to be getting that new spin-off manga titled Junior High School DxD, set to be serialized in Fujimi Shobo's monthly Dragon Age magazine. So artist Ojo is going to be drawing it, commented, quote, "I have been in charge of the manuscript and illustrations of the comic adaptation for Junior High School DxD by Ripu Shinonome Sensei. We'll do our best to ensure that all of you have fun, etc., etc." So if you're a fan of High School DxD, you're going to be getting more content, finally, and probably more titties as well. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break, and as always, have a happy Thanksgiving. Now it's back to the podcast. Anime Addicts, this year, around this time of year, we always think about what we're thankful for. And I will say that for sure, I am thankful for the fact that this podcast still exists. I'm thankful for all of the people that listen and support the podcast. And I'm thankful for all of the hosts that have come on board to help add extra spices to our blend. So if you're a longtime listener of the podcast, or if you just jumped on board, thank you so much for listening to our show. I would encourage you to check out our Discord. It's AAADiscord.com. And you know what? For once, I'm not going to shill and try to get you to give us money for the podcast. I just want to say thanks for being a listener. I'm thankful for you guys this year, and hopefully for many more years to come.
And now, great moments in Anime Addicts Anonymous history.
Will there be moe girls in cute outfits?
There can be.
I mean, I think if you want to make money, you're going to need that.
Sure, I'll sign that.
Little sailor outfits with cute hats and stuff.
Yeah. But like, I'm not talking about like we're going out for on a rowboat. Like, I'm talking high octane Olympic sailing where they're whipping around the buoys and stuff. The Keijo of sailing.
How are you going to fit all those asses in those tiny boats?
How are they going to fit in those life jackets? That's the bigger question.
How are they even going to row with them titties?
No, they row with the titties.
Yeah, they're just hanging off the sides.
And they're like, woo, 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 woo.
Are they going to like put their titties in the water and like use them as a flap?
Bro, why do you think they call it motorboating?
Welcome back to the podcast. In-show trivia, baby. In Spice and Wolf, Horo is a female wolf harvest deity originally from a place in the north known as what? Pancake.
Yotsu.
Oh, you're so smart. How'd you know that?
I see the answer right in front of me.
Oh, you cheated.
I am a cheater.
Bill
Cheater, cheater, pumpkin eater.
Not only do you smell strange, but you cheat at trivia. Tisk, tisk. All right. Well, thanks everybody for sticking with us through the news break. We have so much more show for you. Let's get to it.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag. If you want to leave a mailbag, you can go to our website, AAAPodcast.com/mailbag. Leave that mailbag, baby. Leave your Shark Tanks. Leave your topic requests. Do it all. It's all there for you.
Just no dick pics.
You can send me a dick pic if you want to.
Yeah, why not? Just do it.
Oh, fuck.
Live your dream.
Oh my God, I can't. This is the worst soundboard ever. I can't find anything. You have to settle for that.
God.
There you go. I can't find. Just do it. I need to alphabetize the drops. This is a funny one.
I'm gonna shit on your face.
There you go. Shit on your face. How could you do better than that? Knucklehead writes, I have a question for Mitsugi. Wow.
Boo.
Oh.
Lame.
Fine. Jesus.
We're here too.
Where the fuck are the pancake mailbags?
There's a pancake drop on here somewhere that has like your song.
Yeah, but nobody's writing me mailbags, and I'm pissed.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
that's true. I mean,
Where are the pancake mailbags? Listeners, where are the pancake mailbags?
I submit to you a listenership that is negligent. All right. I was wondering how many physical anime cells you have and what your personal favorite is among them. I hear you talk about them a lot and how you would like to collect them. I hope you're having a good week. So, I should read this part too. I have been listening on and off for a few years now and deeply miss the Jelly Bean Jar. Well, the Jelly Bean Jar had to die because, one, a lot of eating noises on mic, and also for Caroline's health, the Jelly Bean Jar had to go away. So I'm very sorry. So I have 4 framed anime cells. I don't buy a lot of cells. When I do, I tend to buy a nice one, and then I usually frame it. So, but I say I'm buying a cell maybe once every 3 years. I have a museum promo cell from Evangelion that's behind us on the wall. It's got Shinji, Asuka, and Rei in it. It's not actually from the anime, but it was used in a museum somewhere. It's signed by Gainax's staff. It says like their plaque and shit. It's pretty neat. I have a full face shot of Onizuka from GTO and a full face shot of LaFille from Crest of the Stars. It takes up most of the cell, which is pretty nice. The LaFille cell is pretty nice. The GTO cells aren't really worth very much. They're, for whatever reason, they're just not in high demand, so they're not really worth very much. My personal favorite one is probably the newest cell I got, which I think my favorite will always be the newest one that I have, and that's the I bought a cell from Golden Boy that was pretty expensive, and I had to frame it to protect it, so that's behind me too. It has a great background. It's from episode 1 of Golden Boy. It's when he's looking back at after he talks to the bicycle shop owner when the Yakuzas are shaking down the shop owner, and he turns around to look and see what the commotion's about.
Way better than the toilet one you tried to put in my house.
No way. I had one of Kentaro cleaning a toilet and like blushing about how his how the Madam President's ass was on it. Oh come on, it's so funny.
It is funny, but not for you to hang in my house.
Your own brother Mason was like, I would have put that in the bathroom. That's what I said. That shit could have gone in the bathroom, and people could have looked at it and said, why is this guy blushing and putting his face on this toilet seat? So funny. Aside from this, I have a few cells from like Rurouni Kenshin that might be worth framing, but I actually don't own a lot of cells. I probably only have about 15 of them. So
That's a lot of cells.
I just have a few nice ones, but I don't have like a binder that's full of them or anything like that. So anyway,
I have a cell.
You have a cell?
Yeah, but it's on cell. Like it's basically a reproduction, I think, on cell paper of Goofy that I do not have framed currently, but it is in. Actually, it's right over there behind me.
Those old Disney cells are expensive. They're usually very expensive.
I saw a couple. Oh man, I'm looking at them on eBay. I'm still debating. I'll see because I'm going to Florida this week, and I'm gonna see if they have any in one of the shops that I can pick up. At least hopefully, if I go to Magic Kingdom, I'll see if they have any. But like most of the animation is done in Disney in California anyway, so that's where you're more likely to find them. And obviously the Disney cells, there's a whole bunch that just ended up destroyed because that's how it was. But yeah, we can move on to the next question.
Why don't you read this one, Pancake? I think Michael would like it.
So we have one from the beautiful Michael. Would it be okay?
How do you know he's beautiful?
He wrote to us.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
Automatically beautiful. Would it be okay if I gave you a shout out for one of the anime you suggested on my little anime podcast on my channel? I'm planning to talk about Cowboy Bebop and Vinland Saga. Thank you so much. Fucking do it, Michael. Love you, long drop? Time. Do it, do it, do it.
Where's the drop?
Live your dream.
Live your dream. Reach for the stars. Do it. Yes. Just do it.
How does someone even talk that fast? That's what I want to know. That
I forgot about that anime.
Inuyashiki is that was a fun anime. So, it was different.
It had its moments for sure.
All right, this one's for you, Andrew. You can do this one.
Yeah, I'll read this one. Hey, Addicts.
The Gurkinator.
Oh yeah, this one comes from Gurky Boy. Hey, Addicts. Hope you're all doing good. I recently... Oh, God damn it. I forgot about this one. Okay, this is actually... Hold on. Hey, Addicts. Hope you're all doing good. I recently just lost a family member, and I'm looking for an anime that can help with the healing process and moving forward over the loss of a loved one. Thank you for everything you do.
Well, you wrote a paragraph, so why don't you
Yeah,
go?
you have at this one. Jeez.
Okay, well, all right, I'll put it this way. So I don't actually have a specific answer for this question because dealing with the loss of a loved one is a very almost personal, weird thing, and people have their different ways of dealing with it and going through that trauma. But usually what I would recommend is, and I'm going to say this in general, is watch something you enjoy that brings you always brings you joy. To maybe remember, like, not have to think about that bad time in that so specific a way, or a show that makes you feel good. You can also watch something that you watched with that family member that you have good memories of, and that in its own way is a bit of a catharsis that you can go through as well. And so it's also a way of revisiting the good times. And I say this because I lost a good friend a couple of months ago myself, and I was just, what I did to comfort myself was to watch a lot of comfort shows. Funny enough, one of the shows that I didn't talk about from my Hobby Addicts, Babylon 5, is a show that my friend had been trying to get me to watch. Not get me to watch, but when in the first year we were hanging out, it's a show he mentioned, and they remastered it, and another friend was like, "We're gonna watch it," and so. When we were watching, I started watching with another friend. I talked about it with him briefly before he passed, but I was always waiting until I finished the show to have a full. He was waiting until I finished the show to have a full discussion with me on it, and I said likewise. And so, so now one of the ways I coped with the situation is I sort of like turned it into a thing. It's like, that bastard. I watched all of Babylon 5 and he couldn't even watch Community. He got the last laugh in the end. And that's one of the ways I've coped with it. Obviously, I still feel like some crazy emotions. Like, I recently watched somebody talk about Big Hero 6, which is actually one of the first movies we reviewed on our podcast that we had way back when, which in a way this podcast was an inspiration for me doing that podcast. And so going through it, I just felt this like tearing up happening. And it's like one of those things, like those catharsis moments that are also good for the soul, because holding in tears is, from my perspective, like crying is a way of releasing that pent up sadness, and that you do feel
it's an energy transfer for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, you gotta get that out somehow, and crying is one way to release.
Yeah, and it's one of the but I do have a couple of shows on here. I don't know if I can go back and rewatch them now, because they might fuck me up more than they did the first time I watched them. So I put Anohana, which deals with actual loss of a friend. And I put Angel Beats, which is people in the afterlife coming to terms with their death to pass on. So these are examples of shows where characters are dealing with the trauma of death, or the after products of death. After products, such a weird way to put it. So if I probably watch them now, they'll have different meaning to me. I might cry like a little bitch. I didn't cry at them before, and that's fine. That's just life sometimes. And so those are the shows I would, I guess, recommend. But in general, I would say do something or find something that makes you feel good in general. Because at the end of the day, they would have wanted you to still be happy.
Well, I can't give an answer better than that.
Yeah, I don't even fucking want to answer now.
But Death Parade is a show where each character has to come to terms with their own death, pretty much in every episode. So that deals with passing away. And also, I think that it's been a while since I've watched this, but A Place Further Than the Universe, I think that's literal show is about a girl who's dealing with the death of her mother. So that's pretty on the nose. So, and it's a good show too. So definitely, actually, both of those are good shows. So you would enjoy them probably regardless of the circumstance. But
I didn't put them on because you had put them on. But yeah,
I stole them from you.
Well, you did put them on first, so you preemptively stole them from me.
Neener.
You got me.
And then I just threw on Fruits Basket. I know I talk about
you
this
fucking
anime a
love
lot.
Fruits Basket.
I do, but this show really touches on loss in many different ways. And Toru, she lost both of her parents, so I think it covers loss profoundly throughout the entire series.
All right. Well, again, if you want to leave a mailbag, AAAPodcast.com/mailbag, and all the best for Gurky Boy. So, all right, the time has come.
Time to review.
This isn't the wrong color on our line. I'm just gonna fix this. Spice and Wolf 2024. This was a spring 2024 anime. We're a little behind, obviously. So this was in the wrong color because I passed this on episode 725. So that was quite a long time ago. I mean, that was like 30 weeks ago, or maybe a little more than that. So we watched this on Crunchyroll. We watched the dub. So just so you guys know. And I wrote this synopsis because I refuse to read a single additional synopsis off of my anime list ever. But this show is about a merchant named Kraft Lawrence who bumps into a very unappreciated deity, pagan deity, Hodel, who is also a wolf. She's like the goddess of wheat or whatever. And she appears to him in a humanoid form with cute ears. I almost said cat ears, and a wolf's tail. So, and then I would say the crux of this show is that the two form a tender romance as they roam the land looking for Hodo's home of origin, and also just getting into trouble with like the church and engaging in merchant deals and stuff like that. So pretty much. So unfortunately, this is done by Studio Passion, which is, or Passione, I don't know how you say it, but they haven't really done a lot of shows that you probably would want to watch. The two most watched shows they've got are Roca, Braves of the Six Flowers, and Citrus, which I think we've made fun of Citrus quite a lot on this podcast. So this is based on a light novel. Andrew, what do you know of Spice and Wolf? What did you expect going in? Have you seen the original?
I have not seen the original show at all. I guess I found out. I thought this was a sequel at first, way back when this was like being first talked about. But it turns out it was a remake, and so I'm like, okay. And so what I knew is that the original Spice and Wolf was about economics, and that was basically it. So I went in being like, okay, well, this is the show I've heard that was good about economics. It's a remake. I'm curious to see what it's like. Let's go with that. And so I honestly had. I had, I guess, maybe slightly higher expectations going into it, which is probably why, like, reflexively, I've looked back and I think I'm going to score it differently than I think I was originally going to score it when we get to that. But I think I went in with higher expectations, but when I sit and think about it, it's a show that's about economics, and there's a wolf person in it, or like a furry in it, and that's basically what I was aware of, and people liked it.
Epic waifu.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the Pancake? What do you think?
So I watched Spice and Wolf back when I was in high school with my younger brother when it was on Netflix. The first time it was on Netflix.
Like in 2007 or something?
No, because it wasn't streaming at that time. So this was when I was in high school, so it was the 2010s. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Holo quite a bit at the time. So I figured, it's going to be a remake, be about the same, maybe slightly different than the original.
For me, I have seen the original 2 seasons of Spice and Wolf, and to be honest with you, I had watched close to half of this before this week even started because I did the original impression. So I knew exactly what I was getting into when I watched this, so there really were no surprises, and I'd say that my expectations for it were largely met, I would say.
I agree.
So, Andrew, as the resident Spice and Wolf rookie, would you recommend this remake?
As an entry-level anime, no.
Yeah, not as an entry level.
Yeah. Would I recommend it? I think this is a show that overall I think is fairly solid. I think I would recommend it for people to watch, depending on the mood. I think you have to be in a particular mood to watch Spice and Wolf, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I would honestly say, like, as far as shows go, it's one that I could recommend to a bunch of people, and I wouldn't feel like awkward about it. I think any of the foibles it has are easily overlooked because, and honestly, I'm gonna be honest, there are some, and it seems weird that I would recommend it for an anime that I jumped like 10 seconds ahead at points just to get to a point where they weren't talking about certain things. But that's just because I think that the parts that really work, and the parts that don't work are just kind of like, you know what? I just don't feel like, I'm not in this mood, so I'm just gonna like briefly. But I didn't skip like whole swaths, but like, you know, they're in the middle of a conversation about their romance, and I might be like, yeah, I'm not actually interested in this anymore. It's like, all right, cool, perfect. Like 20-second skip, and then we're at a point I enjoy. But yeah, I think it's a solid recommendation for sure.
Okay, we'll get to it in a second, but okay, solid recommendation.
I would recommend it as well. I think it's it covers enough different genres and tastes that the general person would like it if they like anime already. But like Andrew said, it's not an entry-level show that you would give to like somebody that's never really been into anime.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd recommend this for some people. Obviously, this is a very niche type of show. It's not going to appeal to everybody. So you have to be... And to be honest with you, I think that this show will appeal to less people than most. That's not to say the show isn't good. It is doing a specific thing, and it doesn't give a fuck that you don't like economics or don't understand it. It doesn't care. It's about halfway about economics. So you need to, you know, if you have a business degree, or you're interested in the stock market, or if you even just like care about like how the value of things change over time, like you might enjoy the show a lot. But that is a major focus of this anime. So if you're just not into that, if you exclusively watch anime to watch shonen characters punch each other, or to like watch gag comedies, like this is just going to fall flat for you. You're not going to enjoy it, because there are times where you will have to rewind a phrase or two to be like, wait a second, what is a short sell? Like he's selling on credit. What does that mean? And you have to like maybe Google it or look it up. But how do you guys feel about Horo in this anime? She's kind of the most important thing.
Don't like her as much as I used to like her.
Why do you think that is?
She is annoying.
Okay, why?
She's hard to be around because she's a god. She's full of herself, and she's easily offended. And she's a drunk, and she just takes Lawrence's shit. Like,
she's a drunk.
Bitch would be out naked in the cold in a hurry if she was around me.
Walking the streets barefoot?
Yeah, she'd have to be doing something other than sitting on my cart and being a bitch.
Damn. Women throwing venom at the ladies.
No, I mean,
honestly,
she's fine. But she's like, really... She doesn't have a whole lot of redeeming qualities unless she's like swooping in to like help Lawrence at the last second. It's like, bitch, where were you at?
She wants Lawrence to be a man. Step up.
It's actually really funny. So with Holo, I honestly think she's fine when she's not interacting with Lawrence for the most part. I think normally she's fine. I think she comes in, she has that like air of like, I'm a little bit better than you, but also I'm a little playful, and I'm not gonna let you know it right away, but sometimes I'll let you know it. And I find like a lot of my problems with Holo and a lot of my problems with Lawrence is when that they're interacting with one another about what they feel for each other. It's like two tsunderes not willing to admit that they like each other, but they also admit it, but they also don't. It was really annoying.
But they do admit it. That's what annoys me.
I think you need to play the spoiler drop, because this is already in spoiler territory.
I would like this podcast to spend more than 30 seconds in the non-spoiler in the non-spoiler
I don't know how
section.
we can talk about the relationship
it's easy.
never going
it's
anywhere.
Easy. It's not a spoiler. It's not much of a spoiler. This show is fine, but their relationship is a little different than most of these like romance shows in anime to me because most. Go ahead, Andrew. You seem really chomping at the bit.
Oh no! So actually, I don't think you even honestly, unless you're talking about very specific things, this show actually there is no spoiler really to the show. Funny enough, in a weird
More or
way.
less, yeah.
I think most of like the relationship stuff kind of goes back and forth, but not in like a wildly singly way. They both clearly like each other from early on, and even by the end of the first arc, you know this. But they're just so they just don't act like a couple for so much of it, and then they act like they aren't a couple, but they're like kind of playing with each other about it.
Yeah.
And that's where that's the parts I kind of fast forwarded through.
I can't stand that shit. It just drives me crazy. It's like, fucking hurry up. You're both adults. Hold on, you're hundreds of years old. Like,
True.
how long are you going to travel with this man without betting him? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So the thing about first of all, I like Horo. She's a classic waifu. You know, she was probably the biggest sex icon in anime from the 2000s. People still know her, and I like what they did with her design. It's a little different, but the way that they did her design is it still looks good to me. You know, the important things about Horo they nailed. I will say that her big wolf form does not look like a wolf. It's so funny.
I don't think it's a very good design.
No, it's pretty clear that the studio Passione could not draw animals properly, so they didn't. But to me, the funny thing about this is, I don't mind Horo. She's cute and she's sassy, but she is a drunk. She gets drunk and sleeps it off practically every episode. She has a lot of different personality traits that she can turn on when she wants to. So she has moments of kindness. She has moments where she's being sexy. She has moments where she's being shrewd, and she has moments where she's being a bitch. Like, there's no doubt about it. But the thing for me about this that makes this romance so different than other shows is that most of the time you're waiting for someone to fucking admit that they like each other in these romance shows. And it drives me crazy because it's usually painfully obvious, but from one side, that like, oh, this boy loves this girl, and it's so painful, and you're just waiting for someone to make the connection. This anime is different. They fucking know. They know so much so that by the end of the season, she's literally making comments about how she can't wait for him to like plow her. I mean, it literally happens. There are probably 4 or 5 moments in this anime where she will literally make a comment about like him needing to come back with his clothes off so that she can't keep it. She said, oh, I thought you were going to make a comment about ways that you could think of to keep me up all night. Like, stuff like that. Like, it's pretty fucking obvious that they love each other. And he says stuff like, she would say, well, what do you mean? What do I mean to you? And he will say, there are no words that I can use to express how much I feel for you. Like, they literally say that. But they still don't fuck.
Kiss.
They don't kiss, they don't fuck, they don't hold hands, nothing. And I'm just like, you're killing me because you actually know, and you're fucking adults, and she's drunk half the time, and he's drunk too. Just do it. Just, you know what? Where's the fucking drop? Where the fuck is it? I can't ever find it. Makes me so sad. Just
do it!
There you go. Just do it, man. You know, don't worry about it. Do what every anime fan wanted to do the whole 2000s and nail Horo. Be the only one to ever do it. And everything, and you will single-handedly repopulate Japan. I don't know how it would just happen.
Yeah, but other than the romance, I mean, I tried to enjoy it, but it did get tiring after a while. I did like the political intrigue between like the church and like the different deities. That was kind of interesting. But after so many times, it just kind of got a little stale. And I think this show is definitely not a show you sit down and binge watch. Like, I think we made a huge mistake by not keeping up with it.
It's done in arcs, so we'll get to that. But I just have a quick question. When Lawrence does get down and dirty with Horo, and she gives birth, does she have a whole litter? Or does she just have, like, one baby?
Well,
no, I'm being serious.
Okay.
Come on now.
No. I mean, we already know the answer to this because the framing device of the show, right? The first episode, the middle episode, and the final episode frame it around basically her talking to her daughter about their travels. to their daughter about their travel.
So it's just
So we
one?
know that they only have one kid.
Oh.
They don't even imply that there are others in the background. So sorry, Mitz, there is an answer to that question. Just the one. But we know that they do fuck eventually.
How do you know?
Well, what do you mean?
I don't know what the
Because-
fuck you guys are talking about, so.
The framing device of the show, right? The first episode starts with her talking to a kid about her story.
Does that mean they fucked?
I don't even remember that happening, but I also watched that like months ago, so.
Wait, then how did they have a kid? Did they soak?
What the hell?
Yeah.
So I think you can binge watch this, but it has to be in chunks. So I think that basically this anime is story arc based. It has 4 or 5 arcs in it, and you can get through one arc in one sitting. It plays like a movie, like 2 hours long. That's probably the best way to watch this.
Yes.
I think that probably, to me, the best arc was probably I really liked the some of the middle arcs were good. I liked the one where he almost goes bankrupt and has to like do the gold trading with the shepherd girl.
I do like the shepherd one. That
That
one
was pretty good. The arc where they have the most emotional connection, where he's basically trying to short sell and it's all about the pyrite. That was to me, I like that one. But I mean, I think these are all about 4 or 5 episodes in length, and so you can watch it as like a 2-hour film. I think it does work like that, but yeah, maybe not more. What do you think?
I think so. I think one of the, and none of this is really spoilers, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
you should just watch the show. But none of this, even if we told you, we won't tell you how it does it, but it doesn't spoil anything. So and I'm going to speak in generalities here anyway. So I like the Shepherd's Girl arc because I think that's a good arc for the most part. And I like the short sell arc. I still don't understand how shorting works. Honestly, I've read up about it in the past when the whole GameStop thing happened.
Would you like me to explain it to you? Eat very quickly.
No, I mean, Mitz, you have
It's so
explained
easy.
short selling to me at least 3 or 4 separate times, and I still can't wrap my girl brain around it.
Oh my gosh,
It's
listen.
not even. I think so. Hold on. Let me understand this correctly, right?
I get
So,
it.
like
Okay.
I want to see how I want. You can correct me. I think
Okay,
it's more fun
go
for
ahead.
the viewers if you correct me.
Okay.
So short
play a
selling
game. Yep.
is basically working off the assumption. It's all basically monopoly money until the moment the sale happens. If I'm correct, right? So essentially, you will buy something on the hope that at a certain price, on the hope that it goes down, because then they will. Honestly, I forget. I read it once, but it's like you're basically buying, hoping it goes down because it'll screw over everybody but you, because you got it at such a good price that it going down actually means you end up with more money because they owe you more. Anyway, explain it to me.
That's fine. I mean, I think
feel
you're
like
I think you're on the right track. If I give you, if you borrow 3 widgets from me, it could be anything, right?
Yeah.
You're borrowing 3 widgets. They're worth $100 a piece. The short sell, you instantly sell those widgets at that moment. So I am loaning you an actual asset. You're going to sell it for 100 times 3. So you're going to get $300. Later, you're hoping the price of the widget goes down. So we'll say it drops to 50. You rebuy the 3 widgets for 50 each, and you repay me the 3 widgets, but you only spent $150 to do it. So in this case, you repaid me, and you got to keep $150. The reason why the GameStop thing was a crisis was because when you short sell, you can lose an infinite amount of money. If I loan you 3 widgets and you sell them and you still have to repay me, and those widgets go to $10,000 a piece, you owe me $30,000. So you can actually lose far more than your investment. So that's why the GameStop thing was a crisis, because these people were losing like billions. But yeah, I mean, anyway, that we're getting a little off track. But that's
Anyway,
the
but yeah.
you're hoping an asset goes down in value, basically, is what short selling is. But
Yeah, I sort of get it. Why it doesn't work is because it feels counterintuitive. But what's funny is that I found all of that interesting, and I hated all of the reasoning for why that was happening. I found that to be the least interesting part about the short. Like, I thought the short selling part was interesting, but I thought the whole caveat for why the whole short selling thing happens. Kind of like, oh, okay. It would have been fun if this was like a thing he got into for another reason, but it's just like a lover's quarrel kind of made it kind of like it cheapened the whole arc for me. Whereas in the Shepherd's arc, he ended up in a shitty situation because of a mistake he made. And it's more interesting to see him try and figure his way out of that one.
Instead of like thinking that Holo's gonna leave him, it's like, what is she gonna do? Go be with that guy with her fucking wolf tail and ears? Like, really, Lawrence?
I mean, some of us like wolf tail and ears. Pancake. Maybe that little blonde-haired little shit, whatever the hell his name was. Maybe he's into it.
Amadi.
Whatever.
I don't even think Amadi. You see, they don't even portray him as a big enough villain. That's the funny part.
He's
like
really not much of a villain, really.
No, he's just
like Lawrence is being a high school girl is what happened.
Yeah, it feels like a kid that got taken advantage of for having a high school crush. Like, and if it was like a villain, like in the Shepherd Girl arc, I think I can get behind it. But like, it's an interesting arc that is spoiled a little bit by the romance elements of it all, right? And then the last arc, which we can do in a spoiler tag if you want, I think works because it feels like there's an actual villain to it. It doesn't have to be like this mustache twirling villain. I think a lot of the arcs that work in this have some sort of villain that feels like a villain, and they're sort of getting one up. And it feels like our protagonists are getting one up on those people.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the show really works. And not when they're having a little bit of like, well, you didn't say you loved me enough today moments. Those are where I was just like, okay, can we move past this to like the more interesting things? But for the most part, like I think I write it in my notes here, when the show works, it really works. And when it doesn't, it's just kind of like, I guess I can skip past this little short segment.
Well,
know? And I think that works, yeah.
I
love fantasy economics.
Me too, apparently. I'll play the spoiler drop in a second, but I just want to comment about the openings and the endings on this.
They were ass.
I don't want to be mean, but I think Eimer needs to retire. I think that Eimer, she can barely fucking sing, and she sounds like a dude. I'm just like, it's like you're 34.
Oh my gosh.
Well, in Japan, listen, in Japan as a pop idol, 34 is ancient. These idols.
The holiday cake.
What?
Don't they call them like holiday? Don't they call them like holiday cakes or Christmas cakes or something?
My fucking friends in Japan when I lived there used to just call them straight up old babas. Basically, like you were a baba by like 34 for sure. But like these idol girls that are singing these songs for anime, they're like 19. Like she's basically in the Mizuki Nana, category at this point. She's just too old, and she just can't sing. I don't know. It's the theme song was so much better than the original anime. It just wasn't even close. I know Pancake feels the same way, but we skipped the opening and ending every time because it was just bad.
Yeah, I liked the original OP.
Oh, it was
better.
Super much better. But yeah, sorry, Eimer, you're just not it. Sorry, I don't mean to cut your legs off, but I don't know. Anyway, let's play the spoiler.
I think they actually are called Christmas cakes because after 25, they're no longer valid.
There you go.
Oh my god, that's awful.
Japan is rough. They're rough.
Oh yeah.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god.
Why do you think the AKB48 girls aren't popular anymore? Because they turned like 23. That's why.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I'm
crazy.
old as shit.
You don't live in a country. Pancake. The legal age of consent in Japan was like 12 until like 4 years ago.
That is true. That's fucked up.
Not literally 12, but I think it's 16 now. But it's still pretty young. I mean, whatever.
It's pretty wild.
Where do you guys want to go with spoilers? I mean, there's not a lot.
There's not a whole the show is hard to talk about because it's just one of those you have to watch to get, if you get what I'm saying. Like they're very self-contained stories. It's a romance with economics and set in a time period where deities are changing and shifting, where you've got some places pagan, very few and far between at this point, with a heavy church influence and lots of church power. it's not so much it's a travel anime, but it doesn't feel like a lot of traversing. It's a lot of being at the town and the big bad in that town to move the story forward.
Yeah, it's a very Kino's journey, but replace philosophy with economics and replace single episode stories with like 5-part or 4 to 5-part 4-episode multi arc or arcs. That's what it feels like. And I've never watched Kino's journey, but that's the impression I get. It feels like we'll go to this town and we'll figure it out. There is some like put like serialization, right? We know we're going to this next town and we always have this one goal, but that's what it is. And overall, I think, spoiler wise, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if you can like spoil how they solve each of the problems, I guess. But is it really worth it to talk about that?
Probably
No,
not.
that's
I
what
mean-
I'm saying. Is like this is not really an anime that you can say a whole lot about, except like this is kind of what they do. These are how the characters are. Go watch it and see how things unfold.
I really like. I mean, I don't know. I still really like Hodo a lot. I mean, I think that she does come off as nasty sometimes, but it's her way of like being playful and teasing and expressing her affection for him. And I think it's pretty obvious for the most part. I mean, if anything, she's just high maintenance. I mean, she basically demands
Oh, totally.
like high quality food. Like, what was it? Honey. She wanted honey pickled apples or something.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, she's asking you for a Cartier bracelet for Christmas.
They barely ever fucking talk about apples in this anime. The literal apples were like a feature of the opening and endings in the first show because it was so prevalent. But I guess there was the apple cart with the fur.
With the fur.
But
The
that was
boots
about
with the
it.
fur.
That was about it. But see, that's the kind of shit I love. This anime is at its best when Horo is being really shrewd, and she's like, "These pelts come from this region where the wolves eat apples or something, and so their fur smells of apples." And it was really just because they were sitting in this cart with apples.
Yeah.
And she totally bamboozles the trader. That is so smart to me. I love that kind of shit. That is,
I wish there was
top
more
tier.
of that.
Well,
honestly.
yeah, I mean, she's not always involved. Some of the economics thing is stupid and unnecessary. Like in that 4th or 3rd arc where he's going up against the little kid who's got more money than him. Like he basically should have just taken the 1,000 silvers and then had Hodo say, sorry, not sorry, but I was never gonna go with you. You just wasted your money. I mean, he should have just saved himself all the effort and just taken the 1,000 silver and then just walked away with Hodo. But instead, he's so insecure he has to like try to do this economic like dick measuring battle with this guy. Which just seems totally unnecessary. I did enjoy. I thought the second arc with the armor. It's very easy for people to understand that the economics of that arc, and I thought it was very valuable that they put that as one of the earlier sections for it, because basically the war never happened. The armor came back with the soldiers that they thought they were going to need lots of armor, but because the war got canceled, they don't need the armor, and plus the soldiers brought the armor back with them, so the value plunges. He ends up bankrupt because he owes all this money. People can understand that. It's not as like annoying as short selling, which I thought was a little unnecessary for the anime because it's too complicated. But like simply just like the supply of something rising and the demand dropping is going to be enough to explain to people that like, you know, the value has dropped. And I know this is very boring for people to listen to, but like, you know, not every anime is a gag comedy. So, God, I just wish they would just make out. Like they need to just make out furiously. But Lawrence he's so ugly. That's the problem. She's so hot and he's so ugly.
I wouldn't say he's ugly. I think she's also supposed to be more attractive than everybody because she is a god.
Well, everybody be falling in love with Horo.
Well, of course. I mean,
Including
and
all
like
the-
even her face is
all the
kind of
otaku.
like shiny and like has that, I don't know, effect on it to make her look otherworldly, I
eyes.
think.
It's the eyes.
So, but I don't have a whole lot to add. I don't think.
I don't think Studio Passione can animate. Like, they're pretty
No.
bad at it. This anime only had a few scenes where they actually probably could have used some real animation, and it was a lot of when she was transforming. And, like, they never even showed what happened in that one arc with the herding girl because Hodo runs off as a wolf, and then, like, that whole confrontation gets totally skipped over. And then they just she just shows up later to help Lawrence, but like they never show what she does as a wolf, and I think it's because they can't fucking draw animals. I don't think they can do it. I think that wolf looks like a fucking dog, and I think that any kind of fight between two giant wolves was just going to be a disaster for them because they can't fucking do it. I really think so. And that studio kind of sucks. This is the highest rated show they've ever done. So I just
She bent the knee to that other
unfortunate.
wolf.
I don't think that's what happened.
I don't think that
I thought
happened.
that's what
Nope,
happened.
I didn't see that.
No, I think she implies that she took him out.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just took that.
It's fine. It doesn't matter. They don't
Yeah.
show it happen. They don't show anything with the wolves because they can't fucking do it. And actually, that last time she transforms, it looked pretty janky. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, get some CG in here, get someone that can do it. But like, I don't think they can handle it. And most of the rest of the show is just talking and him carrying her to bed so she can pass out and sleep off her ale. I wish I liked ale. They always have these cool mugs and shit, you know. But like, I don't know. You never get to. I guess you can drink liquor out of cool glasses too. They're just usually glass.
Yeah, they're just glasses. Andrew, you have anything else?
I think honestly, I think it's one of those weird shows. I think we should just go to scoring, honestly.
Honestly, yeah.
Because I think I agree with. I think we all sort of agree here. I think it's really just a general watch. So I guess I'll go first in the scoring meters here. Honestly, this is I think when we got to it, it's not a binging show. I think or if you're binging it, binge it in arcs, right? Like, I think I watched, what I was like, I didn't think to watch it in advance because I'm like, oh, it's probably only 13 episodes. I thought it was 25. I was like, ooh, that's going to be a rough watch. And I think I watched, a couple of episodes every day. Maybe like an arc a day or something, and I got it done basically the last episode this morning. It was an interesting watch for the most part. I think the animation wasn't like super strong, but I think the concept wise it hit a lot more than it didn't. And so, like I said, when I think the more interesting parts were the economics. I'm the kind of guy that loves watching The Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime, where they're all sitting around a table talking about the fantasy politics of this world. My only real complaint is that the money conversions never really feel properly explained. So when they're telling me these monetary values, I have to rely on the characters' reactions to understand how expensive or not expensive something is, right? So when they go, oh, a Trenny coins versus Rimmer versus whatever, and there's no I feel like they never properly equivocate them. So yeah, for the most part, do I recommend watching the show? Yeah, give it a watch. Watch the first arc. See how you feel. If you enjoyed the first arc, you should probably watch the second arc because I think the second arc is actually the strongest arc for the show. Which is the Shepherd Girl, or at least the Shepherd Girl arc, wherever that is. I think that's the strongest arc for the show. And honestly, I think I want to, because I think I'm gonna give it a. I think I'm between a 3.5 and a 4, honestly. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5 in the end. 3.5. I don't want to take Mitz's, so I'll go.
You don't know what I'm gonna say.
3.5. Why don't you just kiss already? I don't know, maybe. Or why don't you just fuck already? I feel like that's what you're gonna say. So I'm gonna say 3.5. 3.5 interesting side characters, which I kind of enjoyed all of the side characters.
Yeah,
in
the side
show,
characters were awesome.
Which is not something I
Awesome.
usually can say about shows. Oh yeah. His merchant friend during the shorting arc. The Shepherd Girl is a really good side character. The merchant in the first arc, I just love his voice actor. Or I don't know his voice actor. I just love that voice that merchant had. Terrible hairdo, but that voice is just so good. Doesn't matter what it's coming out of. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Amazing maybe not amazing. Awesome side characters that I enjoyed.
Mitz is motioning to me, so I enjoyed watching the show. I enjoyed revisiting and having time with Holo again. Like Andrew alluded to, Side characters were good. I enjoyed the setting. It can be a little bit slow at times, especially if you're trying to binge it, don't binge it. And then I did not enjoy the OP's EDs. I think the original ones were better.
Retire. It's over.
Me?
No, she's a Christmas cake. Retire.
Yeah. And then, so I'm going to give it 3.5 wheat grains out of 5.
And it's not just retire because you're old. Like, Eimer also, she can't sing. So it's just like, it's over. So, anyway. This show it's still good. Is it as good as the original? I can't really remember, to be honest with you, because it's been way too long. I was in college when that came out. And that was like 400 years ago, so I can't really remember. But I still think this anime is good. It does have a couple weak episodes in there. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to give it 4. Why don't you just fuck out of 5? That was just for Andrew. I would have gone with 20 silver coins or something, 4 silver coins. But because Andrew said that, y'all need to fuck. And make it nasty. Do it
Fell for my mind manipulation.
Do it wolf style. I don't even know what that means. Just howl a lot.
Probably some version of doggy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just bite and claw and scratch and be nasty. Yeah. Yeah. And have a whole litter. We need like 14 hodls. That would be great. All right. That was our show for today. I think that next week, I think next week's in flux. I think that there's some possible absences next week that we didn't expect, but I'm gonna look up what the review is for next week, because I'm sure people might be interested in knowing. Next week they're going to be reviewing 7th Time Loop, which I'm very thankful I won't be on for that one, because I don't know what that's about, but. And then after that, we're gonna do Rising Impact, which will torture the shit out of Andrew. Pancake, you're on that episode? You don't want to fucking watch Rising Impact. Wow, that's going to be such a disaster for Pancake.
And you said both cores, didn't you? Right? It's like 20-something episodes.
You better get started. It's shonen as fuck.
I might be dropping out then.
It's shonen as fuck, so it goes.
Oh,
quick.
that might help.
It goes quick, and it is dubbed. It's dubbed on Netflix, so it's easy to watch, but it is full length.
I don't have a Netflix.
Well,
thanks for tuning in.
Yep. Look, my cat's over here on the floor being a little asshole. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, thanks for being great fans. Thanks for sticking with us all this time. I do appreciate you. Thanks to Andrew for being beautiful. To Pancake for smelling like milk.
Yum.
And for Mitz, I just look funny. So we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye.